So today we're going to be talking real estate advice. So there are a lot of gurus out there. You have your Ben Malas, you have your Dave Ramseys, you have your Grant Cardones. These guys, they've been in the business for well over 20 years each, and they've made millions and millions of dollars. But are they out of touch with how to get started in today's real estate market? Maybe, maybe not. But we're going to find out. So what I wanted to do with my channel is start to really dissect a lot of the advice that people are giving out there in the market today. I've been in the real estate market 10 years and I've done residential real estate. I'm a realtor. I've flipped houses. I buy rental properties. I've wholesaled. Actually, wholesaling saved my business 5 years ago. And I've learned a lot. I've done creative strategies. I've done creative financing. I haven't done it all, but I have learned a lot. And the thing is, I see a lot of advice out there that doesn't seem to be good advice for the practical person or people getting started in this business. So what I want to do is take some time to take a look at some of these gurus and see if the advice that they're giving to the average day person, to see if that's even relative, to see if they're out of touch with how to really get started in today's market. So one of the first questions many people have about getting started in real estate is how to get started. What would you do if you were starting today? So let's take a look at what Dave Ramsey would have to say.
Things. I'm thinking there's probably people listening right now that they may be in that spot where they are ready. They've maxed everything out and they want to get into real estate, but they've never done it before other than their own home that they've paid off. And they're looking to save up and pay cash for their first piece of real estate. Do you have any advice for them? Like, hey, you've got to do this. You're just getting into it. Here's what you need to know from someone who's done it.
Your money is made at the buy. And what happens on almost all of us, including me, on our very first investment property, we get really excited about being an investor. And you pay too much. You pay too much. You should always buy investment properties at a discount. You should never pay appraisal, ever. And in a market like today, that sidelines you.
Right.
It's very difficult.
You don't have a chance.
Very difficult to find deals today. It's quite the opposite of 2008. But if you buy a $200,000 property for $200,000, it's a little tougher to get your ROI on it. But if you can pick up that $200,000 property for $150,000, now you got that built-in $50,000 to start with, and you're gonna always not only have the appreciation, but then your rents on your rate of return on that $150,000, because your rents aren't based on what you paid for it; they're based on what it's worth.
Right. That makes sense.
A $200,000 house rents for the same, whether you got a mortgage on it, whether you don't, whether you paid $250,000 for it, or whether you paid $150,000 for it. It still rents for the same amount.
All right, Dave Ramsey, come here. I got something to tell you. Now, if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he's a big financial guru who talks about buying down debt. He doesn't want anybody in the American household to have debt. He wants you to buy down debt, pay off your student loans, pay off your car note, pay off your mortgage. You shouldn't have any debt. Well, any opportunity I can to argue with Dave Ramsey, I will. But in this case, he got me. He's right. He's right in this situation. When you're buying real estate, you should always be trying to negotiate the best price possible. Now, that may be common sense, but the truth is, you make money when you buy, not when you sell. And I think that's what he said. Now, somebody told me that a long time ago in my career, and I really didn't understand it at first, but it's true. You don't make money when you sell a property, you make money when you buy a property. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you pay $100,000 for a property, and let's say you put $100,000 into that property, and then after you spend that money, you're into it for $200,000. Now, let's say you find out the house is only worth $200,000 when you're done. Well, now you have no equity in the house. Now, if you try to sell it, you'll sell it for $200,000 and you won't make any money. Now, let's say instead of paying $100,000 for that property, you paid $50,000 for that property, and you still put $100,000 into it. Now you're into it for $150,000, and you sell it for $200,000, and now you've made $50,000 theoretically. So you don't make money when you sell a house. You make money when you purchase the property. So remember that always. And you should always be trying to negotiate the best deal possible, whether you're flipping a house, whether you are buying a rental property, or whatever you're doing. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to rent that property out, that renter does not care how much you paid for the property. They also don't care how much that house is worth. They're only going to pay market rent. So a $300,000 house is only going to rent for whatever the market rent dictates. If it's worth $300,000 or whether it's worth $100,000, it doesn't matter. All right, guys, real quick, I want to take a moment and talk about a meetup group that I'm actually creating. It's called Let's Build. So if you live in the DC, Maryland, or Virginia area, we're going to be creating or having these events every month where we allow business professionals to come and just network, get a chance to meet people, get a chance to grow and really just build your business. You never know who you're going to meet. And I really want to cultivate this community where everybody is networking. So it's not going to be a traditional meetup group where, you come to these events and you just sit down with a notepad and you learn. No, I want people to get a chance to meet, network, and really socialize, have a good time. We're always going to host them at a place where there's going to be food and drinks, so some type of bar or restaurant. So if you're looking to come to our first event on December 6th in Towson, Maryland, I'm going to put a link either here or in the description below somewhere where you can sign up and come. It's completely free, nothing you need to pay. There's no cheesy, upsells. We're not going to have any mentorship selling. It's none of that. It's really just a chance for people to come, network, grow, socialize, and really build your community. So come on, check it out. We'd love to see you there. All right, let's continue with the video. All right, next up to the congregation is Grant Cardone. Now, Grant Cardone, if you don't know who he is a real estate guru. He really started making waves about 10 years ago in the real estate space. People really didn't know him as a real estate guy, but he really was a sales guy at first. He kind of made his bones in the automotive sales industry, but he got into real estate and he's been doing commercial real estate ever since. He's a big proponent of commercial real estate. So let's see what he has to say to some real estate investors and how to get started.
Hey, to all you real estate investors out there, all of you out there buying a house, thinking about buying a house or a vacation home or maybe your first apartment deal, pay attention to this message. My name's Grant Cardone. I own almost 5,000 apartments. I've done almost $1 billion worth of real estate deals over the last 25 years. We currently have about $800 million of assets under management. We have 5 deals for sale right now, but I probably won't sell them because they provide so much income that just scoring a profit doesn't really make sense. Okay, my first real estate deal was one house. I bought one house, I rented it, and as soon as they moved out, I had problems. I had to sell the house, just like my mom had to sell the house. So the first thing I want you to know is this: not all real estate makes you money. This piece of real estate right here, this guy paid $19 million, maybe $20 million to build this house. He's going to sell it for $16 million. Don't buy single family homes. When somebody's not in it, you got to make the paycheck. You got to pay the check, okay? When I buy 100 units or 40 units or 30 units, okay? My first deal was 38 units. I never had less than 34 of those 38 units rented. Never did I have less than 34 out of the 38 units rented, which was enough money to pay the note at the bank, to pay for the roof to be fixed, to pay the paint, the tenants, termites, the toilets, the classified ads, if you can't fix all that, it's coming out of your pocket. You're going to be worried when you go to sleep at night. That's why I buy apartments and office buildings, because they provide income from multiple tenants at one piece of property. It could be 100 units, 200 units, 500 units. The bigger, the more units, the more protection you get. Okay, listen to what I'm telling you. That's one unit.
I don't know why people listen to this guy. Here's the thing. Grant Cardone is a sales guy. I respect it, but he's a sales guy. I've known Grant Cardone, or I've heard of him since I was in my early 20s. I had a corporate job and I worked for automotive companies to help grow their business. Grant Cardone was a guy that these dealerships would hire to boost up their sales staff. So Grant Cardone, his background is sales. So understand, if you find yourself in front of Grant Cardone, he's probably trying to sell you something. And in that video, he was trying to sell you something. But I'm going to come back to that in a second. Here's the thing. Yes, commercial real estate can be a great move. And that's really a move that you should attain eventually to get to. But the thing is, commercial real estate is not practical for the average day person. You have to understand the difference between residential real estate and commercial real estate. Residential real estate, the barrier to entry is way down here. Commercial real estate, the barrier to entry is up here. Residential real estate, you can buy a property with 3 to 3.5% down on your first property. Commercial real estate, you have to put 30% down. And commercial real estate is always going to be more expensive than residential real estate. Let's talk about a 10-unit property. You know, he advertises buying a 50 unit, 100 unit, or 200 unit. Let's just say you're buying a 10 unit property. Well, that 10 unit is going to cost you anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million to purchase. In most cases, in most markets, unless you're in the middle of nowhere, if you're in any type of city, you're going to pay $500,000 to $1 million for that commercial property. Well, in commercial real estate, you have to put 30% down. Well, 30% down of 500,000 is 150,000. 30% down of $1 million is 300,000. Who's got that much money to get started in real estate? I don't know anybody. I really don't. I don't know who has that much money to get started in real estate. You know, when you're buying a commercial property, you have to put 30% down. You're financing not only you, but they're financing the property and its performance. So that's the first thing. The barrier to entry into commercial real estate is a lot higher. Now, with that being said, of course, Grant Cardone is going to try to sell you on something. Well, Grant Cardone has something called Cardone Capital, which, how convenient. It's an investment company that allows average day citizens, people like you, people like me, to buy into his company that goes out and purchase commercial real estate. So you can invest $5,000 with him and he'll go out and buy, he'll use your money and 100 other people's money to go out and buy a 200 unit building for maybe $50 million or $100 million or whatever. But the thing is, you're not really investing in commercial real estate. You're investing in his company that is investing in commercial real estate. You have no control over the asset. You have no control over when he sells the property. You have no control over what he sells the property for. You have no control over what he pays for the property. So at the end of the day, you have no control. I'm all about being in control with my real estate. Anything that I own, I want to touch. I want to be able to make the decisions on. That's what makes you a real real estate investor. So yes, commercial real estate is good because yes, if 10% of the property is vacant, you still have 90% of the income still supporting all of your expenses. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's not practical for the average day person to get started. And what it's going to do is keep a lot of people on the sideline from actually going out there and buying some real estate. Grant Cardone bought his first property and realized that that's not the way to go. Well, when he bought that property, he's not telling you that he paid XYZ for the property and sold it and made a significant profit from that sale. And he used that to go out and buy commercial real estate. Ding, ding, ding. How about you go into real estate with a strategy? You should be purchasing residential real estate for the long term to eventually get into commercial real estate. That's what I do. You should be buying residential real estate to be the avenue that gets you to commercial real estate. So over the next 5 to 10 years, let's say you accumulate 10 to 30 properties. Over that time period, you collect the cash flow every month from renting those properties out. And in 10 years, you should be sitting on a good significant amount of equity, and then you cash in, you sell those properties and you transfer those over into some commercial real estate. It's not practical for you to get into commercial real estate day one because you don't have enough money. You don't have, in many cases, the experience. A bank is not going to just let you walk into the bank and buy a 100-unit building and give you financing for it if you don't have 30% down and if you don't have a track record in the business. They're just not going to do it. That's too much of a, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen. So that's my advice on Grant Cardone. All right, on to the next guy. The next guy, he's actually a big hitter. He's a big dick in the business. His name is Ben Mallah. Now, I love Ben Mallah. He is a very entertaining guy. He's down in Florida. He started his career, I think, in California, but he's from New York. He's a very, very big character, but he's worth somewhere between $400 and $500 million. And he owns, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of commercial buildings and residential buildings and all of that stuff. But he's been in the business 30 years or longer, and he's a big hitter. So let's see what he has to say for someone who's maybe getting started in the business.
Some sort of value to it. I mean, typically what I did, what created my wealth, was pretty much based on the 1031, deferred tax exchange that the IRS laws have. Okay. Every time I had a property, I improved it, and I went and I increased the value in it, I would refinance it. I would either refinance it because that's a non-taxable event, okay, pull my money out of it, still cash flow. The ultimate goal to me has always been in real estate is you buy something, you improve it, okay, now it's worth more money, then you get your money back. So now I have nothing invested in the property, but I still cash flow. What kind of return is that? Infinite. So now here I am.
Man, this guy, he's on to something. Man, Ben Mala, man, I really do look up to him. He's very entertaining. I know in that video he looked very dry, but he's a very entertaining guy. He's actually a comedian, in my opinion. But he's right. You know, everything you should do in real estate should be about buying it at discount, improving the values, finding some type of value add, and then leveraging the bank to pull your cash out and even sometimes profit. And guess what? It's tax free. Anytime you purchase a property, you improve on that property, and you refinance at that higher value, meaning you pull all of your money out, that's tax free. You know why? Because the government cannot tax a loan. Now you stabilize that loan by renting it out. So the tenant pays the loan and you have all of your money, and in many cases, a lot of your profit put back into your pocket. So that's what he's explaining. Now, that's not necessarily a strategy that you're going to start off at the beginning. It may actually, if you are approaching properties as rental properties, if you're going to be a landlord, but that's something that I do in my business. I purchase properties. It's called the buy, rehab, refinance, repeat method, the BRRRR method strategy. And I also teach people how to do that. I have plenty of videos on that process, but Ben Mala, he hit it right on the head. You know, you should buy a property, improve the value, refinance, pull your money out, and repeat and keep doing that. So hopefully you all learned something. Hopefully you all got some advice, at least my vantage point on the advice. You know, I'm not necessarily a real estate guru, but I have been in the business 10 years, so I do know a lot. And at the end of the day, I hope to see you all December 6th. And if nothing else, keep getting money. All right, y'all. Peace.